The Scene projects are supported by the following: J. Rick Music on 41st Street in Sioux Falls, Dirty Dog Productions, serving artists in the Black Hills and beyond. The Courtyard by Marriott in Sioux Falls, where the scene stays. The Den at 909 West Avenue in Sioux Falls, home of the Songwriter Showcase. This program is supported in part by the Midwest Country Music Organization. We want to thank all of our members for their continued support, and we look forward to having you on the show. We would also like to thank our partners at Sunny Radio and SiouxFallsPodcast.com. Sunny Radio, FM 93.3 in Sioux Falls. Every episode of The Scene is brought to you by DBS Entertainment, connecting the Midwest through music. Well, hello, and welcome into another exciting episode of The Scene. I'm your host, Bubba Starts, and with me today is Nikki Muhlbauer, the Director of Membership for the Midwest Country Music Organization. Welcome to the show, Nikki.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well, I am so glad to have you on the show. I know that you've been in the wings, if you will, on a show previously. Your husband, Brad Morgan, has obviously been a guest on the show.
Yeah, Brad loves having doing his podcast with you, and he's talked about it often and what you're doing and how great it is. So it's finally my turn to shine.
Yeah. That's why I wanted to get his flowers out of the way here early and shoo him out of the way. So you've had a really exciting summer. We got to meet actually last summer, but you put on the awards show. You had a great deal to do with the organization of the Midwest Country Music Organization Awards Show. And then this summer, was it voted on, or were you voluntold about your new position within the org?
I was definitely voluntold.
And that's kind of how family works, right? We talk about the MCMO being a family all the time, and you're just so darn good at it. I know we don't necessarily have a long list of duties yet of what exactly a director of membership does, but let's talk about some broader things. Can we talk about some of the goals that you have for the future of this beautiful organization and family that we're both a part of?
Absolutely. I think our main goal right now is to just make sure that when you join the Midwest Country Music Organization, that each person and venue feel that they're getting something from the organization. They want to find that value. One of my favorite things about this organization, too, is the collaborations and the family, just like you had said, that you build by being a member. It's $50. It's, a few coffees when it comes down to it. And I just think that what you get from it, I think we have 28 radio stations. We have 250 members that are all now being placed into one spot so people can, hey, I've got a gig here. Hey, I need a band here. Hey, can you help me with this? And it is really forming this beautiful family. And I'm so proud to be a part of it.
Well, and I think for the regular music fan that they don't realize that that's how Nashville works. That's why you have the Country Music Association and all of these awards and different, there's associations and organizations that are already out there doing it. What's great about, what has been building here, obviously PT starting the foundation and moving this thing forward, but it's now kind of its own entity, right? And we're just trying to shepherd this. How does it serve the artists that are members? How does it serve the venues that are members, right? We were all already working together, right?
Correct.
That's the weird thing, right? We were all part of this already. There's finally a name to it. It's kind of why we rebranded The Scene as The Scene Projects. It gives us a much larger breadth to kind of work under. It's like you said, $50 is such a minimal thing. The value is there just to be part of the crew, just to know what's going on. The gig board, a great resource. Granted, every gig isn't going to be in your area. I think we can get a lot more use out of that as we bring more venues in. But I think we're in a big education phase right now. It's obvious that there's something here. How do we educate people on how to use the organization to its fullest capacity? How do we get the resources that are available within the organization right out there on Front Street? And in some degree, this podcast is one of those resources.
Absolutely. We're working on a YouTube channel also. It's very new. It was talked in our board call last night, and putting a lot of how-to videos together. Venues, how do you add a gig to the gig board? Members, what does that look like to use it? How do you do all of these things? There's a lot of talk about different things happening in the fall too. Of course, our award show is one of our biggest events of the year, where everybody comes together and gets all dolled up. But we're talking about a laid back version of an award show, which wouldn't be an award show at all. In my mind, I picture it at a campground somewhere where we all get together and we have different places you can sign up. Maybe it's a songwriting forum. Maybe it's a social media forum, and we have guest speakers. And then at the end of the night, we all get together and sit around a fire, and we all just have a big old jam. There's a lot of talk into a lot of things.
Well, and what you're talking about sounds an awful lot like a songwriter's retreat.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it would be a wonderful addition to the events that we're having with our friends out at Kathmandu Campground in Sturgis, South Dakota. And maybe some great timing for that is the October 18th and 19th dates that are often the Wild West Songwriters Festival, who are also members of ours too, right? Maybe it's expanding on things that are already happening inside of our network. And
absolutely.
How exciting. Sorry, rookie mistake there. I forgot to put my do not disturb on. I had someone buzzing in.
Whoops.
Oh, that's okay. It's not like I've been doing this for 6 years. We've been at it for barely 6 months.
You'll learn.
Yeah, well, and we're learning. I think that's the biggest thing about where we're all at and what the huge benefit of the organization is. And I kind of speak to it. Kane and James is another member. He's on a huge tour right now. He's doing a bunch of things. He got into all the radio stations, right? All these MCMO stations that are carrying our show. He's doing a big media tour through all of them. And I was like, that's awesome, brother. Database awesome. All of these people and put it in the group so that we can all see it, right? Like, we all want to do the same thing, but some of us just don't have the time to actually put that thing together, but we can all follow a roadmap. Yep. So I think when we just putting the maps out there is almost what we are. We're cartographers, right? We're out here creating the connections and kind of greasing the paths of all of these things, and then delivering on how you get there, and then not putting that. I mean, yeah, I guess it's behind a paywall. You're $50 a year, right?
Yep.
Well, yeah, that's less than $5 a month to be a part of this organization where my music was played on 28 stations, right? It's such a big roster. People are literally having their dreams come true every single day in the organization.
Absolutely. It's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, well, and I can't stop spreading the message. As soon as I found out what you guys were all about, I mean, we've only been a member since February. And because of our friends like Jessica Luby and some of these South Dakota people, Colin Donnelly as well, we started seeing their affiliation. Like, well, who is this organization? Like, where's this company coming from, or whatever this is, right? And yeah, digging in, immediately buying in, coming out to the award show was so key. Brad was a big contributor to that, where you're just like, look, you got to come to the awards show. And for everyone else, April 12th, 2025, correct, is the date for next year's award show?
Correct.
I can't wait. But I love the idea of a retreat on the opposite side, so that right before we all go in and winter hits and we all kind of go back indoors and the tour season is over, and yes, we're all still playing and doing things. Obviously, it's a lot harder to travel in the winter time. We all know the seasons, right? I think you and Brad do it very well. You know, you're kind of between the Midwest and Nashville, and riding that line and understanding that this is kind of the time where you go back in, you're writing the songs, you're doing all of that. How great if we could all have one last hurrah before we don't see each other for 6 months.
Exactly.
I love the idea.
Well, same.
Anything I can do to help, Nikki, you know I'm here.
Absolutely. You always are.
Excellent. So we've been sitting here talking today. The Scene Projects are wanting to put together what we're calling a music mixer. And we want to have the organization, Midwest Country Music Organization, involved, obviously. Wild West Songwriters Fest is coming up October 18th and 19th. That is in Deadwood, South Dakota. And we want to get more songwriters together. We want to feature you guys on the Songwriter Showcase in an abbreviated version of that. We want to get you guys some new headshots. We want to get you some content to take home from the weekend, introduce you to some really great songwriters that I have out here in the Black Hills and in South Dakota, and kind of introduce the organization to the Western Hills. We have a few members, but we could have more. Can you talk about, the direction that the organization is trying to take with bringing in and maybe expanding the territory of the organization a little bit?
Absolutely. I think that our direction is to go anywhere, really. We have members in 6 states, I believe, 7. Maybe. And that's changes every day. We have more and more members all the time. I think for some reason we just had somebody from Florida, which is not a Midwest state, but she has ties to the Midwest. So she had heard through us, of us through some mutual musicians and became a member. She's hyped to be here. We're actually having a meeting with her this afternoon, I believe. And we're really looking forward to growing anywhere that we can. I think the value that comes from the org and what we have to offer is just such a neat idea that PT put together 7 years ago.
It's fantastic. Like I said, the buy-in was immediate from me. And the way that we kind of attacked the awards show to grow our own business was something that, PT, we didn't speak a lot during the weekend. Obviously, he is a busy, popular man that weekend, but he shook my hand. He shook my hand leaving that day and just, said congratulations for what you've done for your own self, right, and your own company. And I was like, well, thank you for giving us the opportunity to do this, right? Like we are here to serve. And once we kind of accepted that the podcast is here to serve our artists, right? It's not about me. It's not about even the scene. It's about you. It's about everyone that's inside of this. And what a great excuse just to have these beautiful conversations about the music business that we all work in every single day and live in. I mean,
last night on our board meeting, I said, oh, maybe this is something you guys already have established, so please inform me. And PT said, Nikki, if I was close to you, I would slap you. This organization is driven off of be the we. It's not a PT organization. It's not a you organization. It's not a me organization. It really is all of us. And it takes every single one of us to make this go round, between the volunteers, the musicians, the venues, the fans. It really takes every single one of us. So it's something that 7 years ago, I think it was 7, it might have only been 6 years ago, I went to my first award show in Medina, Minnesota. And I was there, and Brad, of course, was singing and doing all these things. So he was busy with all of his things. So right away, I find a group of people and I'm like, how can I help? What can I do? You want me to set up chairs? Do I need to put tablecloths on? And that was the beginning of my end, I think.
The beginning of your beginning.
Yes, it's where it's how I got here today. But
Well,
it
and
just
you know
kept
what?
going.
Yeah, well, I got you here, and we're talking. Why don't we go into a little bit about that? Well, Nikki, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and what is your story? And besides just being this role in this and being Brad's wife,
It's
right?
what I go by most often,
Right.
Brad's
Well,
wife.
and Danielle understands as well, my wife. But yeah, why don't you give us a little bit of backstory and origin story on who is Nikki Muhlbauer?
Absolutely. Well, I grew up in a small town of 400 people in Iowa. You blink and you do miss it. There is not even a bar in our town anymore. It is super duper small. I met Brad at one of his shows where I danced with his father. He asked if I would move to Nashville with him after almost a year of kind of seeing each other. I was like, sure, I've never driven on an interstate before, but let's do this. I was 26, I think, when I moved to Nashville, and I took over. I was a nanny for a year down there, and then started working at a small pizza pub where I started running social media, booking bands, doing all of these really random things, which then led to them saying, hey, your husband's always gone. Do you ever want to travel with him? And I was like, oh, that would be amazing. Sure. And they're like, oh, why don't you just do all of our social medias for all of our stores? There's 6 of them. And you can just do it from wherever you want. We'll pay you a salary. So they really just opened a door for me to kind of have the freedom that I always wanted. So now I travel with Brad half the year. I think we're the youngest snowbirds I know. We spend the summer in Iowa and then the winters in Tennessee. And quite often a trip or two down to the beach when it gets really cold in Tennessee. But yeah, and that has just led me to all of these crazy opportunities of one door opened and they just kind of haven't stopped opening. And I went from working there as a cashier to running their socials, then booking. And now, I have a spot in Nashville that I try to get MCMO members also down there. The locals like when local people play. So I try to limit my amount of people that I bring in from the Midwest just to make sure that I'm being fair to everybody. But we've had Monica Austin has been down there. Liv McNair has been down there. Of course, Brad's down there because it's just 2 miles from our house. And um, I want to say that Scott Kirkhart is going to be coming through in January.
I might
So
try
it's
to
just,
jump in the truck with Scott.
okay, come on.
I love
It,
Scott Kirkhart.
it has just been it has been a journey I did not see myself on. It was not where I thought I would be, but here I am. And everyone's like, "Are you ready to just sit still?" And I'm like, "How boring to have to
Yeah.
work a same job every day." I'm
Oh,
very, very spoiled. And
Nikki, it was killing
um,
me. I was working as a welder for the last 5 years, and it's no offense to working hard.
yeah,
I appreciate it. It allowed me to invest in myself. None of the equipment that I have that I'm using right now was possible without that job, right?
yep,
But yeah, it was to the point where it's like, this is not what I'm made to do. And as soon
yep,
as I started getting out here and swimming in deep water, we caught this wave and we've been riding this wave ever since. And like you said, one door opens and then another opens and then you just keep following them. I
yep.
mean, I had some gigs fall through a few weeks ago out in Deadwood playing the Saloon number 10. They're like, hey, we double booked. Okay, cool. Well, kick me down the road. I'll look for some other gigs. Booked a Wyoming tour. Saloon number 10 calls me back yesterday. Hey, man, the other band had to cancel. Can you play those dates now? Yeah, I sure can, right? And it's just
Wow.
literally just swimming in it, right? That's 6 days in
Yep,
a row, 5, 6 days in a row, right? That's not small
absolutely.
change. And in our business, comes with a free place to stay and all the fixins, right? Those are huge moments for us. Those are massive opportunities for independent people that are out here working like us. So
Yeah,
yeah, very
absolutely.
very appreciative of all the opportunities that we've gotten, and we just keep chasing them, right? You got to chase them down, and if you're not available to do those things because you're tied to a job or doing this, and what a blessing for your pizza place job to kind of be like, hey, do you want to go like be with your husband, because
Yep.
that must suck? And you're like, yeah, it does suck actually.
Yeah. And it really was. It was something that started as like a, wow, this is pretty crazy. And now all of a sudden I'm like, that was so wild of a company to be like, hey, and it's a ma and pa shop. I mean, they do have multiple locations, but for somebody, a business to see something and be like, hey, you deserve that. Just go do, go do you.
But, and I think it's healthy for us to
huge.
remember that not every business is a big corporation, right? Even if they own these 6 stores, these people are still entrepreneurs and are, American business people that aren't controlled by profit and greed, right? And they probably get a lot happier, Nikki, when you are there and running stuff. And if you're still able to perform the job, no matter where you're at, then there should never be a problem with it. And for them, it sounds like there wasn't. So kudos to them. What's the name of your pizza place? We got to shout them out.
Well, the one that I work the most with is White House Pizza Pub in White House, Tennessee. It's about 30 minutes north of Nashville. But they're all the town that they're in. So we have Portland Pizza Pub, Greenbrier Pizza Pub, Saunders Ferry Pizza Pub, Long Hollow Pizza Pub, and Fairview Pizza Pub.
I love it. I'm going to hit them all.
And they are delicious and the best wings you'll ever have.
Oh, there we go. Well, we're going to have to get them on.
Any other wing sponsor, then
nope, not yet. They're going to be our one. I'm going to reach out to them, and that's what's fun about this the podcast and the network that we're kind of growing, is that the opportunities are limitless. We already have multiple shows on the network, right? We have our songwriter showcase. We have Love Noise, which is just where the artists are able to send in their music and we just kind of play it. Internet radio is something that we're in the process of setting up, right? It's a matter of not waiting for anyone to tell us what to do, and kind of the same reason that PT almost slapped you. Just go do it. And I think that's why PT sees a guy like me who's just like, I'm doing it anyway, man. I just want to throw your name on what I do, and I just want to make sure that I don't overstep that when I do. Most of the conversations are like, hey, Nikki or PT or anybody, this is what I'm out doing. How can I bring you into this to grow what you're doing with what I'm doing? Right.
Absolutely.
And then hopefully in the future, I know that the organization is going to provide more and more opportunities for me getting into Minneapolis. That's a market I'm not in, right? Iowa. I'm going to be blowing through Iowa this Saturday after my show in Council Bluffs. I'm going to head to Chicago and go check out the Chicago Bears home opener.
Oh, fun.
Spur of the moment, man. I was already on my way. I'm like, man, I am 1 state away now instead of 3.
Wow.
Really hard to deny it. It's tough.
I don't know how much time you have or that road that goes through there, but hit me up. We can see where I'm at.
Yeah, well, I would love to see you guys, and it's always a joy. And that's the best part about being in this family, right? Is that then it makes the times where you get to go and appreciate it. When we were in Okoboji, my wife and I celebrating our anniversary this year and celebrating her birthday, we got to see Scott Kirkard out on the, on Preservation Plaza. We got to come see Brad and you out at Barefoot and to relax and take in a show, and knowing that those are our gigs, right? Like those gigs are coming for us, and because we're part of the family and getting plugged into all those things are right on the horizon. Nikki, I'm not kidding when I say I saw the next 20 years of my life when I went to the awards show. And how nice for me is that, like, you guys were doing this in little bars and little things, 5-6 years ago. And even just a few years ago, I walked in and this is a fully fledged rooftop garden ballroom in Okoboji, right? You're on Owners Park. It's just like, whoa, this is way nicer than anything I've ever been to,
Well, we're going to try to go bigger and better next year.
I love it. And I can't wait to be more and more a part of everything that we're doing. And I so appreciate your time. I appreciate all the time that you're going to be investing into the organization and to all of our members and trying to build something. And I'm so happy that we get to work together doing it.
Absolutely. Me too.
Awesome, Nikki. Well, thanks for joining the show, and we'll look forward to seeing you here soon.
Absolutely. We'll see you soon.
Thank you for listening. Remember to follow us on all your social media channels. And check out more at patreon.com/The Scene Projects. And remember to make yourself part of The Scene.